Hey, everybody, welcome back. It's the SCB Steelers Podcast presented by Deck Roofing Incorporated of South Florida. We are very proud to be part of the Variety Sports Network. And of course, the show is originating from the Frank Walker Law Studio. And I'm doing my very best to sound super enthusiastic and super excited despite this 4-game fucking losing streak. And now we go into the playoffs, which is all that matters. Now we go to Baltimore, and I had to laugh right off the bat. I see Vinny's comment in here: playoff Lamar versus playoff Tomlin. Who will crumble more? There's some truth there. There is. You will notice that two of our members are currently absent. We are expecting to get one at some point, and that one is currently, I believe, on some form of a business trip, which means he's probably 6 sheets to the wind. And
at least 3 sheets.
Yeah. So I'm only telling you now, it could be one of those nights if he shows up. And the other member who's not present is Ian. And Ian is enjoying a night off from the show because he and his wife welcomed the arrival of young Mr. Seamus. He is their 7th child, their 5th son. I don't know how they do it. I have the utmost respect for these people, but everybody's great. Mom's great, baby's great. They're supposed to be going home tomorrow morning, I believe, and everything is good. We've talked to Ian several times, so a little Irish whiskey salute to Ian, his wife, and the new Seamus. Yes, Vinny, Ian Rivers. He's got a few more to go, but don't count him out. I'm telling you right now, man. Yeah. Burner. Yeah, he wouldn't know pull out if he had it explained on a diagram, man. But anyway, no, good stuff. Welcome in everybody who listens on their own at their own leisure, whether you watch the show on YouTube or check us out on the platform of your choice via audio and stuff. Welcome in. Scarps, I'm gonna give you a real straight question here.
Cool.
This 4-game losing streak, okay? What would you say is the biggest reason this team has not been able to win in the last four games? What's the biggest reason?
I'm coaching and execution. I'm giving you 2.
Yeah.
Coaching and execution.
Okay.
And I think that is, especially this time of year, that those are the most important things. You have your coaching, you have your game plan, you have your strategy, you have your adjustments, and then you have your executions. I think they've been out coached in every game. I think that they had too many mental mistakes. And I think one of the biggest things, especially this past game, was that, how many things went the Steelers' way in that Cincinnati game? I'm not just saying it. The Bengals tried to bungle that game away so many times.
Yep.
And the Steelers they wouldn't do anything. They just refused to do anything about it. So, and now we're going into a familiar opponent, and that's fine. But we're going against a coach that has his own sort of playoff woes. I believe they only have 3 playoff wins since their Super Bowl victory in the 2012 season.
Yeah.
Very similar coach to Mike. John Harbaugh came in the league the year after Mike.
Yep.
The only difference between the two is non-losing seasons. So, when we talk about, execution and coaching, I'm not going to say that I think Harbs and Mike are fairly even, but I'm going to take Todd Monken and Zach Orr over Arthur Smith and Terrell Austin. I just am. Special teams, I think that's pretty even. Baltimore's always really good on special teams.
True.
But, man, I told a friend of mine earlier today, I said, this is the time of year where good teams don't make stupid mistakes. And both of these teams, Baltimore has struggled in the postseason too, but we can't have – I'm just being real. We can't have a George Pickens type of fumble like we did last year in Buffalo, right?
Right.
We have those mental errors. We can't start out down 14 in the first quarter like we've grown accustomed to. Hello, Ian. Bless you. And I think that even with we're going to have to execute flawlessly and and we're going to have to outcoach a team. And I just don't see us doing that. I'm not prediction yet, but the most important things over the past 4 weeks we have failed at. And I don't see us magically making that better.
Well, and I realized it was a very much a loaded question, and I saw everybody in the chat putting in their 2 cents, and Berner mentioned it's never just one thing, and he's absolutely correct. It's a combination. It's very hard to just pinpoint one thing. Bob Graff mentioned O-line. I couldn't agree more. The O-line has been a train wreck the last several weeks. They are making mistakes that you make in the preseason and in the first few weeks, and we are continuing to see it this late in the season. It drives me absolutely bonkers, but be that as it may, coaching, execution, ability to adjust, both by team and coaches, all of that, it's absolutely accurate. And that's why I struggle to grasp the reality that this team could just all of a sudden turn it on Saturday night in Baltimore. Now, again, stranger things have happened, and we'll talk much more about that game coming up, what we got to do to win. And so I just, it's a combination of a lot of things. No doubt about it. And I just, TJ Watt is going to be our generation's Dick Butkus. Boy, that what a comment that is, Finney. You might be right, man. You might be right. He is. I just feel so bad for him. I feel so bad for Cam. I mean, Cam's at least gotten the opportunity to get some postseason wins, but man, hard to believe TJ Watt on this team, this franchise might not get one. But we'll see. What as you were watching that game last week, Scarps? Did the thought of Russell Wilson might be washed? Did that enter your mind?
Oh yeah. And I posted this earlier this week, and I saw a variety of other folks do it too. But there's nothing wrong with changing your opinions about this team based on things that unfold. And I'm a huge Russ fan. I was a big fan of the initial signing.
Yep.
I thought that he played well early on. And he has not been very good. I think, I joked, my name on the lower third is Mr. Limited, but he's really starting to show that he is limited. He can't stay in the pocket, and if teams contain him, if his first read isn't there,
yes,
he holds on to the ball too long. It is either deep ball moonshot or check down. There is no intermediary passing game. And I understand that he's never done that his whole career. I totally understand that. But, as much as I didn't want to believe that there was a reason that the Broncos were like, here's $40 million to go away, I think they're doing just fine with a guy like Bo Nix, who seems to had I know he's 100 years old, but he had a pretty good rookie season.
He's done very well.
But yeah, I mean, it's hard not to think that Russ is I don't want to say fully washed, but he,
he's in the pre-wash cycle.
Yes, he's like when you go to the car wash and like you just pull in and like they give you a free rinse. It is. It is. He's. And then the other thing. Here's the other thing too about it is that he's making some of the dumbest mistakes ever. And going back to that Baltimore game where he fumbled, I really didn't mind that. But the other night when instead of running out of bounds, like what the hell is he doing?
Just
like
bizarre.
And and we'll talk about like Casey will touch on this later, but is it all his fault? No, but
well, let me touch on two things. One, and you said this right about the time he took over, and you talked about the fact that what he does and the way he plays, it's not sustainable. You talked about the fact that throwing the moon ball and then just dumping it off, you've got to have intermediate throws, and that has not come to fruition. It's still the moon ball, and it's still the short dump offs. That's all he's got right now. And then the other thing that we've all talked about a little bit, and I think we initially did so a little tongue in cheek, but I think there's some real seriousness to it now. He is such a positive dude, and we should never knock anyone for being positive. We just shouldn't. But you can't help but wonder, is that rubbing some of these guys the wrong way?
I as we all know, I'm not a George Pickens fan. I'm done with George Pickens. I hope they trade him in the offseason. But I'll tell you this. I think it's even pissing off Pickens. And if that's the case, I get why, man. Because, even again, I'm a lot of Casey's. Casey's going to touch on this later. So
I have full faith in Casey tonight. Yeah.
Even after I said Hard Knocks captures it. So after, I'm sure you've seen the clip now, after the Steelers lose fourth in a row, Russell Wilson walks up to Cam Hayward and basically is like, oh, don't lose faith now. Hey, let's win the next four. And Cam looked like he would rather be anywhere else in the world than in that moment.
Yeah.
And Cam is a guy that went to bat for him to come here. And I know Cam had the flu and whatever, but man, Cam played his ass off. And I truly think he was annoyed that in that moment, it's like, dude, why are you talking to me about this right now? And then I sit there and think okay, it always just feels forced. And I'm not talking about what Russ does for Children's Hospital or what he does for the community.
No.
I'm just talking about his media remarks and then when he knows the camera's on him. Remember it was a couple years ago when the Seahawks played here and he was injured. Yeah. Remember he couldn't play and he was doing the mock game by himself on the field and shit, talking to himself and stuff. And I remember being like, what the fuck is this guy doing? So I then it goes back to, I didn't like the fact that his former teammates kind of were like, oh no, Russ, Russ is this, Russ is that. And, but I'm starting to see why they did it. Because I do think that he's just a little too forced, that he forces it on you. And Cam was drafted in 2011. Russ was drafted in 2012. So Cam has been a Steeler for a year longer than Russ has been in the league. Russ has been on multiple teams now.
Yep.
Was that really the right moment to tell Cam Hayward that, when Cam has only been part of one playoff victory in his career? I just felt like it's maybe do that in the locker room or maybe do this, but it's almost like he fucking knew that the NFL Films was behind him when he was going to do that.
And that's you're absolutely right, and that's where I came off thinking, man, did this dude say that because he knows the cameras are on him? I really think he's a genuinely good dude. I think I think he's means tremendously
Mhm.
well, but I just know, and I put myself in Cam Hayward's position. If I just lost that game, I know I've lost any chance at the division. I now got to go to Baltimore instead of going to Houston. I mean, we didn't know that exactly at the time, but it looked that way.
Mhm.
I mean, I need to kind of think about this game that just ended. I got to process this. I'm not ready to start talking about everything next week or next 4 weeks. And so it just was an awkward thing. And like I said, I never want to rip anybody for being positive, but you can't help but wonder if sometimes if that's just his overbearing nature, Russ, and it gets to some dudes. Some of these guys just they don't like it.
Yeah,
You know?
and you know, like all right, we're in quarterback hell. Okay,
Yes.
let's just be real about it.
Yes, we are.
And you bring in Mitch Trubisky, who obviously nobody respected. Deontay Johnson, apparently, supposedly got into an altercation with him in the locker room.
Yep.
You draft Pickett, who was not a leader.
Yeah.
Doesn't want to suit up in Seattle, and then Mason all of a sudden everybody loves Mason because they were winning, right?
Mhm.
They were winning, and he was like
playing a nice brand of football.
and and he was the veteran. So all three of those guys go,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
And you bring in three new guys, and one of them happens to be a Super Bowl champion, who is a borderline Hall of Famer, and then you got a young kid who didn't work out, but he still had 40 starts under his belt, and then he got Kyle Allen, who has I think 25 starts under his belt, whatever. So a lot of this locker room has been exposed to a variety of different types of football players, and Russ is by far the most polarizing of that group. And
He is.
you already know about his positivity, but like his wife was a pop superstar.
Mhm.
Like she has her own following, she has her own success. Like he is he's like when like an athlete's like a celebrity, there's a
Yes.
difference, right?
Yeah.
Like she is just as or maybe not now, but she in her prime, she was just as popular as he was in his prime. But there's a lot that comes with that. And when you come into a locker room and you're new to a team and you're just sitting there constantly being like, "Oh man, we're gonna win. This is great. Fucking love everything." Sometimes guys don't want to hear that.
No.
They don't. And
No.
for Mike, Russ is a dream come true. Just says a bunch of shit. It doesn't mean anything.
No, and that's a great point. And to Vinny's point too, Vinny asked a question in the chat. Can you imagine Russ like giving the pregame speech on Saturday? I don't. In Ryan, you'll know this better than I do, based on how Mike Tomlin does things prior to the game. But I mean, the position groups usually have a leader that gives some kind of pregame speech to their position groups, and I don't know. Does Mike give the final words before everybody heads out, or is there a player that steps up? How does that work?
I was usually on the field by that time.
Okay.
Before guys came out. I mean, I know Mike has addressed the team. I've heard
Yeah.
Mike more at halftime than pregame.
Okay.
And I don't know this now because it's been a long time.
Yep.
But I would really love to know how Mike is now compared to compared to how he was when I was there, because there was still plenty of veterans when I was there.
Right.
So we've talked about this on the show, like the whole sort of self-policing, right? Mike comes to a team that has Hines Ward, James Ferrier, Deshae Townsend, Ben Roethlisberger, Willie Parker,
Yeah, it's a long
I think
list.
Faneca was there. No, he wasn't. He was at the Jets. Maybe. Whatever. Anyway,
Yeah.
Heath. There we go.
Yeah.
But now, I mean, Cam, TJ, Boz,
Yeah.
Minka, maybe. And I just don't think that's the way guys lead now. And all these young cats like Pickens, I don't even think they know how to be coached anymore, right? Like, I don't even think they're coachable, let alone respond to some. I hate to say it, but like it's like Mike Tomlin's always trying to like sell you something. It's like an elevator pitch, and it's just a bunch of nothing. And I just don't know if that works anymore. Connecting with these guys, I just don't think it does. So
that's a good point.
Again, I just, it's almost like they're hearing it from Mike, and then they're hearing it from Russ. And Ben, I'll tell you this, Ben was not a talker. He wasn't.
Right.
Just wasn't a talker. And I know that Ben and Cam didn't talk a ton.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't. That just wasn't the way it is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you got a guy like Cam. Who goes from a quarterback that, they respect one another, but they really didn't have too many conversations, to a guy like Russ who's just constantly like, yeah, Cam, we can do it, Cam. I know we can do it, Cam. I'd be like, get the fuck away from me, man.
Right.
Right. So I don't know. Like, I appreciate what Russ has done, but I don't know if he's the type of fit that this team needs. Because I don't think Russ is policing anybody. I don't think he's having tough conversations with people.
I think he attempts to. I think what we saw, I don't know what he said to George Pickens the other night. I think he tries to lead in that respect. But again, I go back to, I think it's hard to sometimes be a great leader when you're constantly positive. Sometimes you got to snap and go in a different direction. And I know not everybody maybe necessarily agrees with that, but I don't know. I mean, I think if Russ plays the way he's played the last 4 weeks, if he has another one of those performances, I think the question of whether he's back becomes a major, not that it isn't already, but a major storyline. And I will also be curious if we get behind by 2 scores and Russ is stinking the joint up, does Mike turn to Justin Fields just to use his athleticism? I have no idea. And I certainly hope that the game goes in a much different direction from that, and that we don't have to worry about it. But again, when you base things on what we've seen the last 4 weeks, I don't feel real confident about it.
Vinny's comment about Arthur Smith going to use his 2019 playbook for the Titans. Well, he had Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
He had a great offensive line. He had A.J. Brown and Corey Davis. So, I don't see any of those guys walking through the door. But
no, I don't either. And I just speaking of Henry, I mean, I think we all know the way you defeat Derrick Henry is you have to get to him before he gets up to speed. And if the weather is doing what we hear it's supposed to, which is cold and potentially some snow as well, he's probably going to get the ball a lot. So we're going to need to be prepared for that. I'm going to bring in Mr. Ben Anderson, who is
I couldn't talk anymore.
Well, yeah, and by the way, he's flipping us off from the backstage. Many of you can't see this.
What a guy! Hell of a guy.
Yeah, he's flipping us off, and so without further ado, here's Ben. Welcome, Ben. Jesus Christ, double fingers? What the hell did I do?
You made me sit backstage for like 4 minutes.
It was like 20 seconds. Jesus. Unbelievable. Are you in a motel, hotel, Holiday Inn?
I am at the Western Kierland Resort in Scottsdale, Arizona.
Oh, lovely. My goodness. I can hear people out on the 9th green right now getting ready for the sprinklers to come on. Lovely.
Yeah.
Ben, we've just been kind of catching up about what is wrong with this team, and obviously it's more than one reason. We've talked a little.
I'm sorry I missed that.
Yeah. Talked a little bit about Russ and the positivity overload. Could it be a problem sometimes?
Well, yeah, I mean, maybe, it gets a little corny sometimes, I think. And, it gets a little, I don't know. There are people that will question whether or not it's sincere.
Yes.
And I'll leave it at that.
Well,
look at that. Ian's he's putting comments on, but he's not in the show either.
He's in the chat live.
Is he calling
from the
you guys
hospital.
a bunch of dicks?
I don't think he's done that yet. Unlike yourself.
Join the chat. What the hell? Why do I have to do this?
Ben's having a conversation with himself now. Anyway, yeah. By the way, Ben, we did do a nice little Irish whiskey salute to Ian and his wife.
Congratulations,
newborn
Ian.
Seamus.
If I had a little Irish whiskey, it would be wonderful. But I don't.
Well, I'll drink one for you. Let's put it that way. I struggle to go back and even look at the Cincinnati game. Why did Tomlin really truly believe that running the ball the whole game was gonna, be the way to win when he knew what the game plan was and how to beat him from several weeks before?
I don't think it was a bad plan.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is the Steelers are bad at running the ball.
Bingo.
And you knew this after 16 games. So why would you make that the crux of your plan? And there was a point early in the game when the run game was working, and I was like, okay, let's just keep doing it till they stop it. But then they stopped it.
Mm-hmm.
And we stuck with it. And it's like, okay, well, at this point, you need to knock it off. And you need to actually throw the ball on first down, which
holy shit, what a concept that would be.
Fucking do. Yes, you're right, Ian. Redbreast is delicious.
That's very good, yeah.
Anyway, I've been thinking about this a lot all week. I watched not so much the run cut-ups this week, but I watched the pass cut-ups.
Mm-hmm.
And the offensive line is not good, especially Dan Moore, who was absolutely fucking horrendous on Saturday.
He's regressed this year. Literally regressed.
He seems to have regressed over the course of the season. Like
he does.
He started out early and he was playing pretty okay. He really was.
Well,
even when they played the Bengals the first time, he played pretty okay. He did.
Yeah.
But he seems to be struggling with specific moves. And yeah, Hendrickson just took his lunch money away. It was bad.
Yeah.
But there were other guys along the line that I don't want to say that took plays off, but allowed a lot of pressure over the course of the game as well. And so it's hard to pin it all on Dan, but Dan was awful. I mean, fucking horrible. And unfortunately, he was guarding one of the best pass rushers in the NFL in Hendrickson. And so Hendrickson had a great day. But watching the game live, I was pissed off at Russ because I was like, get rid of the fucking ball, get rid of the fucking ball, get rid of the fucking ball. But he didn't have time.
There's times he did not have
time. Like he would do a 5-step drop and there was already somebody in his lap.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's like, okay, we got to come up with a better plan here. This just isn't going to work. Yeah. My issue with Russ has been that it's always check down or go long. Check down or go long. There are no intermediate throws. He doesn't look for them. He doesn't seem like he looks for them. And that's, been an issue. But Saturday, he really didn't have time to make a lot of choices. So rewatching those cut-ups, I'm like, okay, it wasn't all Russ, which is what I kind of thought watching it when I was live. It's a lot of things. I think the biggest issue probably is the Steelers, to paraphrase Mike Tomlin, have run out of smoke and mirrors.
Mm-hmm.
They are predictable. There's enough tape out now with Russ and Arthur Smith that those tendencies are out there.
Yep.
People can pick them up, and they know what's coming before the ball is snapped, and they're already ready to defend it. They're calling it out. So it's a lot of what we've seen with other offensive coordinators before. And the Steelers just don't have the guys. I'm sorry. We just don't have the guys. We don't.
No,
I mean,
it's true.
George Pickens takes the fucking day off, basically. He wasn't involved early, and so he just started half-assing it the rest of the time. It was like, dude, what the fuck? The rest of the guys, are a bunch of number 5 and number 6 wide receivers. Calvin Austin had a terrible game.
Yeah.
The running backs, not named Jalen Warren, aren't very good.
And how in the hell do you justify 6 touches for that young man?
How do you justify pitching the ball to Cordarrelle Patterson when he hasn't had a touch the entire fucking game, and that play never works because we can't block it?
No. I mean, that was coming off of a first down throw to Freiermuth.
We should give
down
the ball
5
more
at that. We were down
Patterson.
5 at that point. And then
the game was winnable at that point.
Next play was a sack. Yeah, I don't understand the fascination with Cordarrelle. And look, I've never met Cordarrelle. He seems like an awesome dude. But he is not the player he once was by any stretch. His kick returns are atrocious.
He's number 32 in the league.
Dead last in the league. He can't go east or west to save his life. Scarps?
Bigger picture. There are many guys on this roster who should not be here next year. And there are many guys on this roster that shouldn't even be in the league. And he is one of them. And that has nothing to do with him as a teammate.
No,
it has nothing to do with him as a person. But when we started signing all of these guys that had like connections to Arthur Smith, okay,
yep.
And the one guy we probably should have signed that we didn't was John U. Smith.
Yeah, had a great year in Miami. Yep,
and can actually block and isn't a waste. But
I like Michael
Pruitt.
So
when he's healthy. When he's healthy, I like him. He does the dirty work. He'll get you the little 9-yard out, and he'll get you no yak. But he does the dirty work. I like that kind of a guy on a minimum contract. You know what I mean?
Fine.
Yeah, for sure at that price. Yep.
But like Cordarrelle Patterson, like I've joked on the show how many times that like he must have naked pictures of Arthur Smith on his phone or something.
Yeah, I don't get
that. I mean, like he has like his whole career he's always been like a gadget guy or a playmaker type of guy. He's not but then first again, he's 30-something, he's 33 years old, and you're running like a halfback toss to him because you think like he's going to beat somebody to the edge, but also that we're going to be able to successfully block that play when that play never fucking works.
Right.
Like it is
because we don't have the guys that can block that fucking play.
No. And
for starters. And then we need a running back who can actually get to the edge quickly, which Patterson can't fucking do.
No.
And like, yeah, you know what? He had some decent success in Atlanta, and it's like, but that was also, 3 years ago.
Yeah.
But I don't know, man. I just like, I feel like this team, and this is Mike, this is Terrell Austin, this is Arthur Smith, and it probably all goes to Mike, but I just feel like we're so arrogant that we're just like, no, we're going to do it our way. And we're just going to do it our way, and it's going to work, and everything's going to be fine. And all these other teams, who said it the other day? Was it Minka? Somebody the other day said something about like, No, it wasn't Mink. I apologize. A player the other day talked about like, they schemed to stop us this way or something, and I was like, well, no shit, that's what good teams do. Like, maybe we should try it. like when the Bengals defense, although they were playing better, are not a good group overall. They're not.
No,
they're
they
not.
wanted it. They came out and they wanted it. Didn't you get that sense? The level of intensity those guys had?
Yes.
By comparison to the level of intensity our guys had on offense? Don't get me wrong. I thought the Steelers defense played really well.
Yeah.
You force a couple of turnovers. You give up 19 points to that offense. You played fucking great. 260 yards of passing against Burrow with Higgins and Chase.
Right. And Burrow had come in hotter than anybody.
But Higgins was hurt for half the game. Chase Brown didn't even play. And I said earlier, Ben, before you came on, they tried to bungle that game away in all
Several
three phases. So like
they did.
I'm not saying the Steelers defense didn't rebound better, because they did, because they got trashed on that first drive. I'm not saying they didn't do that, but I don't.
They forced 4 field goals, so I give them props.
I didn't say I didn't give them props.
Eight drives, 12 points. That's not what the Bengals offense has done the last half of this season. They've been very successful, and I will give them props for that. I don't think special teams played a great game, especially in kick coverage.
Oh man, they had a couple kicks that. Whew.
Yeah, and the offense was not good, just not. And I think that Tomlin looked at what he thought they might be able to do to counter the Bengals, and asked his offense to do it, and they just weren't fucking capable. And they ran out of smoke and mirrors, and they're playing a better defense this week. Good fucking luck.
Yeah, and Vinny mentioned poor body language. I noticed it immediately after
first quarter.
First quarter, second drive, it's 10-0.
Yeah.
You could see it immediately. And again, Ben, you alluded to it. I do give them credit. I thought the defense played better than they had the previous 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And to their credit, they did try to get back into the game and eventually did very late. But again, that goes back to the old, the old narrative about Tomlin and these slow starts, and the fact that they haven't scored a touchdown on an opening drive now in 19 games, I think it is, and find themselves down. I mean, the amount of time.
It's not 2016 when Tomlin would look at his offense and say, every time you go out, you score points.
Right.
Some kind of points.
No,
field goal or touchdown every single drive.
We went from Todd Haley used to say, "Hey coach, how many do you think we have to score this week?" And we went from that to, "Hey guys, hey D, don't give up more than 17 or we're going to lose the game."
Yeah. You're not wrong, Ryan. That's exactly what it is.
Which has gone on far too long.
Yes.
We're talking, that's I can't believe I'm saying this, but that's Mitch Trubisky, Kenny Pickett shit, Duck Hodges shit. No disrespect to any of them.
God bless him.
Like, no disrespect.
God bless that dude. He played to the absolute limit of his ability when he was in Pittsburgh.
Yep.
He just wasn't good enough. I mean, but the dude played to the maximum of his ability.
And
I will give him props for that.
That 2019 defense was probably the best one we've seen in a while too. They were good.
That
was
but they carried that team too. I mean, granted, they were 8-8. They weren't a great team.
No,
but they weren't fucking horrible.
Yeah, and we're like Ben, before you came on, but I said we're in quarterback hell, and we don't even know who the quarterback's going to be next year. No.
We can talk about this longer, and Ian's got a whole bunch of shit that he's run up on quarterbacks, but the long and the short of it is this, and we don't know who is going to be available in trade yet and who's going to get cut, but it's Darnold probably isn't going to leave Minnesota. JJ McCarthy might be available in trade, maybe, but they're going to want a first-round pick,
absolutely,
even if or a high second, which the Steelers can't offer. And what's his nuts out in Arizona? Sorry, I'm drunk.
Kyler Murray.
Yeah.
Kyler Murray is going to be trade bait. They're ready to move on.
He's fucking terrible too.
Yeah, I agree. Fuck that guy.
And then,
Well,
go ahead.
That's your point, Scarbs. It's quarterback hell because there's not much out there. I mean, I think Sam Darnold has done a hell of a great job, but he's also got a pretty damn good offensive line in front of him too.
Yeah.
And
can you imagine Darnold behind our line right now? No way.
Derek Carr, who doesn't want to take a pay cut, and they want him to take a pay cut. He's probably going to get cut. Cousins is definitely going to get cut. 100% going to get cut. The dude can't push off of his plant legs. He doesn't have enough arm strength to make up for that. So I wouldn't want him.
Nope.
Mason Rudolph, anyone? He's a free agent.
Jesus Christ.
Can you imagine?
Oh, I'm telling you this right now. If we bring in Aaron Rodgers, I might fucking yeet into the Ohio River, man. Just jump right off the field into the Ohio.
Well, and Ryan, what makes it worse is the fact that you've got the video from two different instances where he and Tomlin have that little lovey-dovey look at each other. And so everybody's just automatically assuming that that's part of this whole relationship thing.
I really fucking hope not.
I cannot imagine they're going to go in that direction.
Melvin, that means he's going to swim across the Mon. But It's a really rough day, and the river's all blown out. The river's all blown out because it rained the day before.
So
that way you can't find the body.
Right.
This is so random, and it's a tangent. But this is the second year in a row we didn't have two guys with double-digit sacks, and I was surprised by that. So I went back. It happened in 2017 and 2018, though. So I thought, I was sitting there thinking, damn, it has to be a long time since that happened, and literally it just happened 6 years ago.
Yeah.
I'm a little surprised that Highsmith didn't get there, but I'm not because he missed a handful of games.
He did.
So I don't think that the sack and pressure production wasn't there on the right side. Where it wasn't there was teams found a recipe to defend TJ.
Yeah.
We can say that TJ had a down year. I don't think that's what it was. I think that they found a way, and then this is a copycat league. It's like, hey, this is what people are doing to defend TJ, and it's working. So, basically, it's if we can stifle his get off, which has been that's been his weapon. Is he gets off the ball so fucking fast that if you can't stop that, he's already in your backfield by the time you're trying to counter his move.
Right. And don't you think too that a lot of it has been just the way the games have gone too, because of the fact that over the last 4 weeks we've really never been in the lead. He's never really had a chance to tee off because teams could afford to chip him. They could afford to double him.
Actually, Mark, I'm talking about 17 games.
Yeah, no, I know, but if you look over his last, say, 4 or 5 games, he really hasn't. I mean, he did make a nice play in the Cincinnati game. It got nullified because of a penalty. Right. But what I mean is, we all know that when a team gets up on another team, that other team typically starts to throw the ball more. They typically start to go one-on-one on the edges, which makes it easier for a pass rusher to get to the quarterback. In this case, we've been behind most of the time, so teams have been able to chip and leave another guy in.
It makes it easier. There's no question.
Yeah,
and yes, Jamie, yes, holding has been an issue for the entire league all season, which is why sacks are down.
It's going to be addressed. It has to be addressed this year.
Sacks are down league wide because they want more scoring. So they're ignoring holding on purpose.
They want you fantasy football people to be happy.
Yeah, which is bullshit.
Yep.
They're looking the other way when guys are holding. Yes, Watt has been held a lot, but I will say this. Watt has not been held any more than any high-end edge rusher.
Mm-hmm.
All those guys get held. every single play. They don't fucking call it. It is bullshit. I completely agree with you. But they are chipping and holding and getting away with it, and they found a way effectively to neutralize him.
Alex Kemp is our head official this weekend, and his crew ended up leading the NFL in penalties called during the regular season. And they were tied for, I believe it was third in holding calls. And the real kick in the balls is that his crew, the home team, won, I believe, 80% of the games.
81.
Yeah. Which obviously does not spell.
Well, it's a good thing we won the division or at home.
Well, exactly right, Ryan. Thanks for reminding us of choking that shit away. No doubt about it.
I will say this. They got into the fucking horrible stretch of their season and things didn't go well. And we all said it was going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Like all of us, every single one of us said, this isn't going to end well. And it didn't.
Well,
and we're still pissed off about it. And all of us, we're still fucking angry because they lost 4 games in a row.
Mm-hmm.
And this is 5 of the last 7 years that after Thanksgiving they've been on a 3-game or longer slide. And you have to address the fact that now this has become a pattern. It has. And their rosters are fluid every year. And guys, Diet Sprite. Dude, I'm drinking Elysian IPA.
That's a good beer.
I'm drinking
Jesus. Rosters are fluid every year.
Yes.
There are a core of guys that stay on the roster long term, but there are a whole bunch of guys that are interchangeable and leave rosters every year. And sometimes they stay in the league and sometimes they don't.
Right.
Scarf's talked about it before. You get a bunch of guys like your fucking Van Morrison Jefferson guy who,
don't disrespect Van Morrison that
way. Fair. Van Jefferson Airplane, who probably shouldn't.
White rabbit.
Okay, the dude definitely should not be a starter. Okay,
no.
All right, he shouldn't, and he is. Okay, Calvin Austin, I think, has had a decent season. He had a shitty game.
Yeah.
He's had some good games. He's had some games where we were like, yeah, that's amazing. That's great. But he had a shitty game last week when we really needed him to have a good game. But they just don't have a bunch of guys,
No.
You got George Pickens, who basically you're at the mercy of his fucking ego, depending on whether or not he's okay that week or not. Mm-hmm. Whether or not somebody's coddled him and held his hand before kickoff and then made sure he got 3 targets in the first quarter. The dude is just trade him already. Jesus Christ.
He reminds me of I remember watching John Goodman in the movie he did about Babe Ruth.
Oh, yeah.
And remember
Babe Ruth was good.
Well, no, but I remember when they called him incorrigible.
Oh yeah.
And I was coming back to that this week the more I thought about it. Pickens really is in that same vein, if you will. It doesn't matter who talks to him. It doesn't matter what is said. He just continues to do this shit. And I don't think it's going to get better. I would love to be wrong. I really want to be wrong about that. But I did want to comment real quick before we go off into that Tom mentioned the fact that when the schedule came out and we looked at it, 10-7 probably would have been a great thing.
Yeah, we all predicted 10. No, actually, you assholes predicted a losing season. I said 10-7.
I had 8-9. I own it.
When they were 7-3, I said they're probably going to go 500 the rest of the way, and they'll finish 10-7. Yeah. And then they did exactly fucking that, and I'm still pissed. I'm still fucking
and
angry.
that's the point. This team was 10-3.
Yes.
And the offense was thriving. And then all of a sudden we hit a fucking wall. And yeah, it's.
And that's one of the reasons that I think they just ran out of smoke and mirrors. Like it isn't just we played good teams. It's we played good teams and their defenses copied each other week after week after week and did the same thing against our offense. And lo and behold, they were successful. Holy shit.
And yes.
Because we can't adjust because we don't have the fucking horses.
And every single week, as you mentioned, Ben, there was more tape out on Russ, on what Arthur Smith was doing. And defensive coordinators in the NFL, the majority of them are pretty damn good.
Well, you got a defensive quality control coach who's running tape on that team the entire, 7 or 10 days before they actually play them, who is charting all of that shit and saying, okay, when they come out in this, they run this. When they come out in this, they run this.
Yep.
And when what the Steelers do is that consistent out of formations and out of motions, it becomes easy to call. When the Mike linebacker's going, he's pointing at what's going to fucking happen before the ball is snapped. God damn it.
It's rather embarrassing, quite frankly, that we have a system that is that predictable. But it is what it is. As far as Pickens goes, I have every belief that they're going to try to get him the ball very quickly on Saturday night. I think they need him to be
run pass.
They need him to be invested right off the bat, because if he's not, he'll check out. And then he'll start arguing with fans. What else, is new? But they're going to have to.
That shit's embarrassing.
It is. It's just totally embarrassing.
That is embarrassing. I'm a Steelers fan. I don't want to see that shit, dude.
No.
Behave like a goddamn grown up.
No.
And if you're a Steelers fan out here listening to this tonight, quit defending that. Jesus Christ. Stop defending it.
Yeah.
He's a fucking child.
Yeah. He's incorrigible. He's an incorrigible child. Yeah.
I don't understand what the infatuation is with George Pickens. Like, he is.
I understand it. I won't condone it.
His numbers aren't even that good. He had 3 touchdowns this year. Jesus Christ!
I need to turn on the game.
Like, it's not like he's not even putting up. And I know people are like, well, he doesn't have a quarterback. Listen, Larry Fitzgerald did have a fucking quarterback for 3/4 of his career,
right?
And still was productive.
Good point.
So don't he's had 1,000 yards only once. So if you're gonna sit there and be like, hey man, Najee just had 1,000 yards his whole career, why can't, what's the excuse for Pickens? Like, he's just, and then his behavior, he's a baby, and then he mentally checked out the other night.
Yeah.
He wanted nothing to do with that game. Nothing.
Yeah. He also avoided the media this week again as well.
Of course. And again, and I'll say this 5 million more times, you do not win with guys like him.
Yeah, I totally agree, Scarps. I am always okay with having guys that are pains in the ass.
Isn't it?
What's that?
This game's going to go to overtime.
Probably.
Ben just tuned into the Notre Dame Penn State game, I believe. Yeah, he is an insufferable child, Mel, and I it's just so frustrating because he's got immense talent, and we all know it. But we also knew when he was drafted that this was part of his baggage, and
did we know it was this severe?
Probably not to this level.
No, we didn't know that.
Probably not. But the thing is did we have to draft George Pickens?
I think it was, from a talent standpoint, a very good value. And Mike Tomlin is fearless about drafting assholes that are super talented.
Mm-hmm.
Just Just put it out there. He
No,
is.
He sees himself as a mentor, a teacher, and I appreciate it. I do.
Because you're a teacher.
Probably. But
I mean, look, the dude was drafted at 52.
Yeah.
And he was probably a top 5 talent in that draft.
yes, talent-wise, incredible. Yep.
So you get to a certain point where you just go risk versus reward.
Right.
At 52, this dude is worth it, right? This is what we're going to pay. What do you think? Can you make it work? And Tomlin's probably chomping at the bit, loving to get a hold of him because all head coaches think that, oh, yeah, I can make that work. I can change him.
That is a great point. All head coaches typically think they can do this with people.
They can, yeah, I can make that happen. No problem.
Yep.
They're like a girl with it, a girlfriend with issues. I could fix her.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, no, exactly.
Yeah. Oh, it's spot on.
And women do the same fucking thing with men. I'm not gonna,
he's misunderstood. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Philip. Okay,
I don't. To be very fair, Ryan, and I'll let you finish. I don't know who was jawing at him.
Yeah,
I'm going to assume it was Steeler fans, but I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, that's a fair point, but also like, I mean, he had a horrible game. Like he has bad body language. I don't know if fans are just frustrated, but it was cold as hell Saturday night. They paid good money to go there. I mean, unless they were saying something stupid, which I've heard bad things before. I hopefully it wasn't that, but I mean, from my experience, I have never seen a Steelers player at a home game arguing with a Steelers fan.
No, neither have I.
Yeah, that was the first.
I think maybe opposing, but they usually don't have opposing fans behind the Steelers bench.
Right.
But maybe a little bit of that. But I mean, how many times like does Muth or like even God, I know Russell Wilson, like he's Russell's so full of shit, but even he's like trying to keep the peace or whatever. And then they asked Mike about it this week, and he's like, oh, I don't even know what you're talking about. It's like, of course, Mike, of course you know what he's talking about, but you're not going to give it. You're not going to tell the media that you know what
you're going to pretend that you don't know because you don't want to address it. And you're trying to squash it.
I would have much rather Mike would have just said, we talked about that in house, and that's where it stops.
Right?
Don't pretend like you don't know. That's just stupid.
It is funny though, because Antonio
intercepted by Notre Dame.
Oh God. Remember 2 weeks ago when every jerk off Steelers fan was like, Drew Aller looks really good in the black and gold, I bet you.
Oh,
he's terrible tonight. He's terrible.
Yeah,
anyway,
I don't want anything to do with him.
Get back to AB. AB tweeted something like, you can never question my effort and attitude. Well, you did quit in the season finale of 2018, and then you did quit in the middle of the Jets game. But before that, you're right. Now,
I will say you could never question AB's effort, attitude.
Attitude was questionable.
Very.
Yeah. Effort, never.
Well, I understand that like he has talent, but like Steelers fans act like he's a god, and I just don't understand. Like, is it because and it has to be this younger generation of fans. It has to.
That's a catch why they're reviewing this.
It is absolutely that.
It has to be that like
he wears the shiesty and all that shit.
He looks like a dumbass with a ski mask on draft night. Like, you know what I mean? Like what? Like, I just don't get it. And then
Juju did dumb shit too. We all loved him.
Yeah, but Juju did dumb shit. But Juju, do you know why Juju was loved?
Perfect did not break AB. AB was doing dumb shit well before Perfect hit him in the fucking
Confirmed.
head. Well, 100%. If I could tell you guys half the fucking shit I know. Oh my God.
Don't go there. We'll get in trouble.
Juju's story and the fans' love for him started because his bike was stolen as a rookie.
Yep.
It's like fucking Pee Wee Herman. You know what I mean? And everybody loved him after that. And then after that, like he started
That's
doing
my bike.
Yeah. Francis. Like he's like he was doing like,
how the fuck do you guys remember these lines? Jesus
Oh,
Christ.
I have nothing but stupid shit in my head.
Francis.
But like,
Yes,
yeah,
Juju always played
Juju
hard.
Juju did play
listen,
hard.
Yep.
Juju did his TikTok
And he had a
dances,
great attitude, but his TikTok dances were dumb.
but he wasn't a bitch. Like he wasn't like Juju was like he was. So like, but like, literally Pickens like
Holy shit, Notre Dame's gonna win this
takes
game.
off plays. He doesn't catch ball. Like he's oh my god.
Like there are times you're watching the film. I'm watching pass cut ups from this last game, and you're like, dude, you're not running a route. What are you doing? And he like half-ass starts blocking somebody before the ball is thrown, and I'm like, okay, that's offensive pass interference.
Yeah.
You're gonna get called, dumbass. And it's I think I don't know this, but I think he just doesn't know what his assignment is on that play because he's tuning it out.
Yes.
He's not paying attention. He's like, oh well, I'm not the first option. Whatever.
Yes.
He's
the kid not paying attention. And
I'm gonna half-ass it because I'm not the guy on this play, motherfucker. And then when you are the guy on the play, you drop the fucking ball.
Yeah. Guys, I want to talk a little bit about Baltimore, and the thing is so many people are going into this game thinking that we have zero chance. Well, the reality is that we have beaten them 7 out of the last 9 games.
There's that.
But I at the same time, I'm not dismissing the fact that they're very, very hot right now, and we are very, very not.
Well, they've won 4 in a row, and we've lost 4 in a row.
Yeah. And the offense is playing well. The defense is playing well. Special teams is playing well. And I obviously we've done a decent job against Lamar. Sans the very last time we played them, which was at the beginning of December. So I just the secondary is healthy for the first time in a while, which that's good. They have no Zay Flowers. He's going to be sitting this week with that knee injury. The guys that scare the shit out of me are Andrews and Likely. They go that double tight end stuff, man. I think we're toast.
Andrews is.
I mean, he was burning Grant Delpit last week.
Uncomfortable. I think he's uncoverable. I really do. And what are they doing here?
For those at home listening, Ben is watching the Notre Dame Penn State game.
Stop calling out plays. You're like 3 seconds ahead of me. Jesus Christ.
Well, fuck off. Sorry. I think their tight ends are really tough. Andrews is uncoverable. I don't know what you do. You can jam him at the line with somebody else and then bracket him with a safety or a linebacker. You could put Wilson on him as in cover and have somebody jam him at the line, and that might help. I think our only hope this game, honestly, is that Lamar comes out and wants to prove that he can be the man.
Yep, he's playoff Lamar.
And that he fucks it up because he's trying to make it personal and prove it rather than just taking what our defense gives him. And if that happens, goddamn, I fucking hope so. I'm at this conference now, right? So, listening audience, I'm at this conference now, and so during the game, I'm going to be working. I'm going to be at an awards banquet, if you will, beginning at 6 p.m. local time, which is when kickoff is. Thank you, baby Jesus. The game is on Amazon, so I can bring it up on my phone. But it is it's gonna suck donkey balls. But this is the kind of game after losing 4 in a row and then playing a really good team that a Mike Tomlin team would win. I'm not gonna lie. There is hope. It's scant,
Yeah.
I don't think it's gonna happen, just being honest. But this is the kind of game that a Mike Tomlin team would win. It is.
I've been hearing that for the past month.
I get it.
Obviously,
and I have no gripe with that take, Scarps.
Yeah.
I'm not picking him to win.
No,
I have purposefully avoided a lot of Tomlin talk because I don't really want to get into it until the season's over.
Okay.
And remove the emotion.
Yeah, you got to remove the emotion.
I agree. That's the time to talk about it.
Yep.
When you've settled down. Like last week, I was fucking pissed.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's not the time. That's not the time. Like you're still so angry. You're like, what do you do?
Right.
And then the quarterback situation is it's unfixable in my opinion. The draft class sucks.
Yeah.
The free agent class is not better. Barring any surprise releases, we're going to have, I don't know, Russ or Fields or Mason Rudolph coming back here. I don't know what they're going to do. Yeah.
Let me ask you guys, since it was somewhat brought up, would you trade let's say we have the 20th overall pick. Would you trade that for JJ McCarthy?
Got it. Oh, we got it. He got it. No.
Why not?
Notre Dame is winning this game. 7 seconds left.
I was sneaking.
Yeah, right. You see that shit?
I'm focused on this program. I am not watching anything.
Would I trade pick number 20 for JJ McCarthy?
Yeah.
Fuck no.
Why not?
Yeah.
He was too erratic as a college player, and he hasn't done shit in the NFL.
Okay.
And if they've given up on him for the likes of Sam Darnold, then they are not sold on him either. So, no.
I agree with everything you're saying.
Don't get me wrong. If they wanted number 50 for him, would I take him? Yeah, I probably would. I'm not going to lie.
So second rounder.
I'm
just spitballing it because we all know there's no QBs.
50. It's 50.
It'd be 50 something else.
Yeah, 53.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that either, but I would say that I would say that it's funny how other teams
Jamie.
It's funny how other teams approach situations like this, because if this was the Steelers,
that's a good point. Ryan.
They would have let Sam Darnold walk because they drafted a guy and they believed in him.
Yep.
And Minnesota's like, hey, we brought in Sam for probably to be our backup, but we'll see if there's some competition. Then JJ McCarthy gets hurt, and Sam has a great year, and he's obviously working well with Kevin O'Connell. It's just funny to me how teams can make decisions like that, but the Steelers just refuse to be like, nope, Arthur Smith's going to play out his contract. Like the fact that they fired Matt Canada still blows my mind. I can't believe that even happened. But
they did it 6 months too late, but yeah, sure.
Yes, but like the Steelers are going to be like, nah, we're just going to stick with this guy because we drafted him.
It is funny. The different philosophies.
From my standpoint, and I agree with you, Scarps, in so much as you should acknowledge your mistakes and move on, which they did with Kenny Pickett. They did. They acknowledged their mistake and they moved on. And I was like, okay, this is good. I appreciate the fact that this is a new era.
Don't you think he kind of handed it to him though?
Pass by Aller, he fucking sucks.
Don't you think he kind of handed that decision to them by his basically saying, I don't want to compete for this if I got to go up against Russell Wilson?
Yes and no.
Okay.
The effort made to talk Kenny out of it was nil.
So they kind of looked at it like, okay then.
Their response to the situation was, okay.
Yeah.
Bye.
Exactly.
Go ahead. See you later.
Yeah. No, I agree.
And out of bounds. And that's the ball game. Penn State's out. Notre Dame wins.
Uh-oh.
Wow, when's the last time Notre Dame won a big game?
Man. When's the last time Penn State won a big game?
Yeah, well.
Hey, you know what, though?
They got there.
You know what? The college football playoff in year one really has proven its relevance, because the top 4 seeds, which would have been the only ones to make it in the the prior model, they all got eliminated.
Yep.
Every one of them. So, yeah.
Ohio State's going to win the whole thing, though.
I don't know how they won't.
I really hope you're wrong because Aaron will be happy about it. And
he'll be insufferable.
All of the assholes in Ohio and Michigan will argue about whether or not Michigan should be the national champion because they beat Ohio State and blah, blah, blah.
Vinny, I'm going to hold off. I know exactly what you're saying, man, but I'm going to hold off until the season
Yeah, Vinny,
is over.
We'll be talking about that next week. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Can we get back to Baltimore?
Yeah, by the way, I don't know if you guys noticed this. Justin Tucker, who struggled this season more than any other season in his career, he has changed his routine. I don't know if you guys noticed it, but since he changed his routine, I don't think he's missed a kick. He's got
What's his routine?
He's got this weird little thing where he kind of digs his right foot behind him, turns his shoulders and his hips, and then comes back. It's a little bit more exaggerated than what he used to do. I noticed this a couple weeks ago, so I think he's found himself a little groove, much in the way a golfer gets that swing in a groove. It seems like that's what he's done. So I'm not going to say he's all the way back by any stretch, but he's much more accurate than he was several weeks ago.
Oh, neat.
But as far as Baltimore, in defensively, I think Kyle Van Noy, what is he, 33 years old? He's having a great season. Yeah. The dude is.
The dude's a one-trick pony.
He is, but he's a really smart guy.
That trick is pretty fucking good.
He's just a really, really good player. And obviously we know what Humphrey can do, and they've got, what is it, Wiggins, the young kid on the other side. I don't.
They have a good defense, man.
They do, and it's gotten better as the years gone on. They're surprisingly, they're kind of towards the bottom in pass defense, but they're at the very top in run defense. So I'm going to be real curious to see what Arthur Smith's plan is.
I think they're at the bottom in total pass defense because they're typically ahead.
Correct.
And what happens in those instances, and people, I don't know why they don't get this, but when teams are behind, they have to throw the fucking ball.
Yes. No, you're exactly right, Ben.
Defenses give up yards because they're in soft defenses, giving up the underneath pass because they don't care about yards. They don't give a shit.
Right.
What they want to do is defend the big play. So if you want to get 10-yard chunk plays, go ahead, do that. Yeah. We need to make sure that you don't get the big play because we're ahead. We need to make sure that you don't score.
Yep.
We'll wait for you to make a mistake and then we'll take advantage of it later. But we're not going to let you get behind us because then it's a foot race and then it's actually a competition. I don't think that people really understand that.
No, I don't either.
That's one of the reasons that statistically Kansas City's defense is so fucking good because teams are always in it versus the Chiefs. The Chiefs are confident enough in themselves that they can play all these fucking close games. They're like, yeah, whatever. We got Patrick Mahomes.
Right.
It's fine. We got 3 minutes in the ball and we need a score. Yeah, we're winning. And they're right. They're winning. So, why wouldn't you do that?
Yeah. What, Ben, you kind of alluded to it earlier in our group chat, but what is your prediction for Saturday night?
Oh, well, again, I talked about this before.
Mm-hmm.
The Steelers are. This would be the kind of the game that the Steelers would win after choking hard in the last 4 games and infuriating all of us.
Mm-hmm.
And then going up against a very good team. This is the kind of game the Steelers would win. And the Steelers defense played much better last week. I will give them that. And they've had Lamar's number. But I just think Andrews is too tough to defend.
Mm-hmm.
Even with Zay Flowers out, this is just a really tough week for the Steelers defense. And I think Lamar is going to have something to prove. And I hope he goes Cowboy. I hope he does, but I don't think he's going to. I think he's going to come in and he's just going to be like, I just need to win. I just need to win the game.
Right.
I don't need to be a Cowboy this week. Hope he does, but I don't think he's going to. And on top of that, the Steelers' offense is just floundering. As much as Russ wants to try and make them believe in themselves, they just don't. And honestly, from a talent standpoint, the Steelers' offense is not that good. They're just not.
No, it is.
So I see the Ratbirds winning this in painful fashion. Baltimore 27, Steelers 13.
Mr. Scarpino, what is your prediction?
Zay Flowers being out is interesting.
It is.
Derrick Henry has 900-yard games this year, and in 8 of those, he has at least 20 carries. So when you give him the ball 20 times, when he runs the ball 20 times, I should say, good things happen. But as we talked about earlier, I feel that the Ravens every playoffs come out and try to prove something that they're not.
Yes, they outsmart themselves.
But I look at it as if Baltimore uses Derrick Henry, I think is Justice Hill available. Keontae Mitchell is another guy. He was hurt last year, but he has some pop. And then of course you got Lamar Jackson.
Yeah,
I saw a stat earlier that there's only, I think, 7 teams that have ever rushed for 3,000 yards in a season, and that this year's Ravens have the most net passing yards out of any team that it's ever rushed for 3,000 yards. Lamar Jackson is playing at an MVP level.
Yeah,
he's had one of the greatest seasons by a quarterback in NFL history, and if he doesn't take off when he has the opportunity, he's stupid. I'm being serious.
And he didn't do that a lot in the first matchup.
Correct.
Yep.
This is just survive and advance, and this is just survive and advance. And I think if the Ravens just play sound football, they'll win this game. On defense, I think they're a defense that's on the up. On offense, I think they're an offense on the up, and I think we're going in the other direction. The line is 9.5. It's been 9.5, and I
all week
cannot, for the life of me, get off a 10-point Ravens victory. So I'm going to stick with my gut and say 27-17 Ravens.
Well, I've tried to look at this game and find where the Steelers can win. Number one, you got to have turnovers, short fields, and you've got to score touchdowns. You cannot kick field goals. No disrespect, Chris Boswell, my team MVP for this year. And I just don't.
He's got the flu.
Yeah, I know it. I just don't have a ton of confidence in this offense. I don't know that I have any confidence in this offense. And
Dicks,
fucking
hater.
My score was the exact same as Ben's. I think Baltimore gets out early. The Steelers are forced to play catch up, and it ends up 27-13. That's same score I've got. I would love to feel differently. And I hope I'm wrong. I really, really do, because I'd love to see us go on another week. But I just don't have a good vibe with this team at all right now. And that's where we're at. So last week, we did not have the stylings of Mr. Casey Kasem. And I am very excited to have him back. I'm sure he has a lot to say since his last appearance. So, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, Mr. Casey Kasem from the grave.
Casey's Coast to Coast, American Top 40. That sounded a little off key. Anyway, hello, everyone.
It always does, man.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the week that was January 9th, 1972.
Whoa.
Our favorite correspondent, Ryan, is back with us again this week, and he writes, Dear Casey, Zoe is gone. I hope she's drifting out to sea. She always loved to swim away. Maybe she'll find an island with a shaded tree, just like the one in our backyard. Casey, that's a parody of Shannon, a song by Henry Gross released in 1976, which was written about the death of a pet dog that belonged to Beach Boys member Carl Wilson. Casey, I changed Shannon to Zoe because we lost our oldest pup, Zoe, this past week. Casey, I won't lie, it's been tough. I didn't think it could get much worse, and then I had to watch the Steelers last Saturday night.
There's that.
Henry Gross, Carl Wilson. Let's just remove both of their first names, and you have Gross Wilson, which is the Steelers' current quarterback situation. Casey, quick note, I'm doing dry January, and I'm not talking about my ex-wife. Casey, Russ has been, what do the kids say? Ass. As you know, I'm a huge Russ fan. I defended the signing. I defended him starting once he was healthy, and I've defended him through the ups and downs, but he's about as useless as George Pickens' hands at the moment. But don't worry, Casey. As Russ told Cam Hayward after our fourth straight loss, when he knew the cameras would be right on him, hey, let's go win the last 4, all right? Look at me. Let's go. We can do it. You know what I'm saying? Don't doubt now. You feel me? Let's go win the last 4. For a second, I thought Cam was going to throw him out of the stadium formerly known as Heinz Field into the Ohio River. Cam has been a Steeler since being drafted in 2011. Russ was drafted in 2012 and is now on his 3rd team. Was that the right moment to tell the team captain, who has been part of one playoff win as a Steeler, hey, don't doubt now? Seems forced to me, Casey. It seems dishonest and not authentic whatsoever. And then it hit me. Who else seems just to say shit with no meaning behind their words? Well, that would be Mr. No Losing Seasons himself, Mike Tomlin. They are the perfect match. Could I interest you in a word salad with extra cliche dressing? Casey, when Mike found out Russ hadn't won a playoff game since the 2019 season, his first words to him were, "Let's stay together." Well, Ryan, keep your feet on the ground and keep reaching for the stars and keep your radio tuned right where it is. Up one spot to number 3 this week, here's Al Green with Let's Stay Together.
Let's stay together. Oh, love it. Love it. Al Green, 1972. Very good stuff. Outstanding. Great audience tonight, as always. Once again, congratulations to Ian and his wife on the birth of their son. He's closing in on Phil Rivers, guys. I'm telling you right now, it's not going to be much longer.
He's trying. He
trying.
Really is, man.
He really
it's
is.
like he's taking this competition personally.
Absolutely. I think he was dared, and he is all in.
Ian Cromartie.
Ian Cromartie.
Wow.
Tyreek McNeese.
Where does Ian fit on the Cromartie Index? This is a good topic for next week.
He actually has figured it out.
Has he?
I'm pretty sure he's got all the math done for the Cromartie Index. But hey, check out the website, steelcityblitz.com. Check us out on the socials and everything else. And thanks so much to everybody in the chat tonight. We had a great crowd. Totally appreciate it. And
thank you all for showing up and interacting.
And obviously
you make the show so much more fun and like honestly, the content even better. So thank you.
Yes,
all of you.
Very much so. And
fuck you, Dan.
I really
the
hope
rest of you though, thank you.
I really hope that we're here talking about another game next week, but we shall see. Anyway, that's it for us. Have a great night, everybody. Have a great week. Enjoy the game. And as always, go Steelers.
Ravens suck. I wish.
Well, let's hope, man. Let's hope.